Hi, and thank you for joining me today for another process video for 30 Days of Sketches with Christie's Beautiful Life, Series 16. And today is day 17, and the sketch that you can see in the top left-hand corner there is by Kirsten Hughes. I'm doing a mix of the two sides. I'm using the title down the side of my photos, but I'm using two 4x5 photos. I printed them out the size that they are on the iPhone, so they're slightly shorter, but they are more or less 4 inches wide and about 5 inches deep. So I'm using a mix of 49 and Market autumnal collections. I've got the Art Options Spice from last year, and then I've also got the Vintage Orchard from this year. If you saw my haul video earlier this week, you will have seen these and the bits that I've chosen to use over the coming weeks. So these pictures are from back in 2019. It was a day that Amelia and I had a day trip out to Manchester. We got the train in and we went straight to Primark because they had this Central Perk cafe there. So we went and had a coffee and cake, and then got a picture of her on the sofa. So that's what the photos are, and that's what I'm documenting. So although it was October, they're not sort of pumpkin patch type photos, but the colours in the photos work perfectly. So you saw there, I tore a strip of that paper from Art Options Spice, which I'm going to use as the central piece going down the middle of the page per the sketch. And then I'm just going to bring in some mixed media just to bring in those autumnal tones, the yellows and oranges. So I've used fossilised amber, which I'm just putting on here with my brayer. And then I'm going to use spice marmalade after that. I find the brayer sort of easier to control the mixed media rather than using packaging, which can spread it everywhere. So I'm just finding this method a little bit easier at the moment. So once I've brayed where I want the inks to be, I'm then coming in with a paintbrush and just adding some splatters, and then I'll leave that to dry. So now it's dry, I can start building the layout. So I've got this lovely strip of paper that I tore. Now this is more of a plum colour, but I chose that because if you look at the backgrounds of the photos, they do have that sort of hue to them. So I thought this would work really nicely. And then I brought in some of that spice washi tape, the plum diagonal stripe, just to add a little layer down the left-hand side. So now I'm bringing in the grid stamps from Hey Little Magpie, and I'm using pine needles, which is the perfect match to the teals in this collection. It's also matching the green really nicely of the Central Perk Cafe in the photos. So the title I've chosen is Together, because we had a lovely day together. So one of these fabulous rub-ons from the 12x12 phrase sheet, and then I'm just going to scuff the edges of this piece of paper and then get it stuck down. Look at that gorgeous teal on the background. I'll definitely be using that for something else. And I love the way that where I've curled the edge, the torn edge up, the teal just peeks through as well. So deciding which way to put these photos, I think I do switch them. Yeah, I switch them out once I actually start sticking them down. So I put that one on that side to start with, and then this one here. But I decide that, because that's the order, we had the cake and then took the photo, but I decided they look much better this way around. There was more blank space on that sofa picture that I could overlap the second one onto. So just flattening the curled edge behind that second photo just so that it sits nicely on the page. And then I'm coming in with some of the ephemera pieces from the Vintage Orchard collection to embellish. So first of all, I find this lovely teal frame that I think is going to work really nicely to hold my ephemera pieces. So again, in the sketch you can see that the embellishment was what do you call it, cluster was at the top of the photos, but I decided it would definitely work better at the bottom of my photos. So that's what I've gone with. And now I'm coming in with the Art Options Spice chipboard. I've mixed the two collections together. They have like an icon pack and then the wordy pack, and I've just got them all together in one envelope here. So I've pulled out that lovely floral piece and this leaf, and I'm going to use those to build up that cluster on the right hand side, and then that lovely Making Memories chipboard word banner. So now into the laser pieces again from Art Options Spice, and I want to use this leaf here. So just pull a little piece off, and that's going to be added to that cluster space there. So just messing about with the label that I pulled out and just checking that I'm happy with the positioning of everything. And then I spot this word phrase that says an amazing adventure, and it was such a lovely day together. We really enjoyed it. We were shocked till we dropped. And then a teal ticket, and it just says admit one, so I thought that would work nicely down there. So back into the laser elements, and I spot this frame, and it just reminds me, if you've watched Friends, you know on the door they have that yellow frame around their peephole. So I just thought this was a nice nod to that. So I'm just going to tuck that in at the top, just at an angle, and then add that word phrase over the top. This piece says good times, so I thought that was another nice piece to add. And while I'm doing all this, I'm still thinking about how to add my journaling, and then I spot this envelope in the Vintage Orchard ephemera bits along with this card, so I decided that that's what I'm going to use for my journaling. Just trying to work out how to fill that envelope, and in the end I turned the card around and then it fitted really nicely. Gosh, sometimes I do have blonde moments, I think. So that little tag is just going to embellish the envelope nicely. So just folding the creases so that the envelope sits properly on the page, and then using my ATG to get it stuck down. Just folding those back up and sticking that down towards the bottom. I think about overlapping onto the white card, but I decided to keep it on the pattern paper that I've got there. So just going through the chipboard pieces to see if I can find anything else that's going to embellish the envelope. I do decide against that piece in the end. It sits there for a little while. And then into the Spice film strips. These are acetate film strips, and I just wanted to add a few of the film strips behind the photo. So I've got one orange, one green, and one plum purple colour. And I'll trim those off at the top and then add a little bit at the bottom as well. No point in adding them all the way behind the photo. Really, it's a waste, and I can use those other bits on another layout. So I toyed with putting that with the ends like that, and I do end up doing it that way rather than having a finished film strip, so that it looks like it's just going off the page. And then another little bit to go at the bottom here. So still fiddling, trying to work out how to add my journaling piece there. And then I decide that I want to add some more of these green leaves at the bottom of the envelope, and that's when I noticed that they've disappeared from the right hand side of the page, and I'd knocked them on the floor. So there they are, they're back again. So I'm going to glue these down so that I don't lose them again. And then I'll glue down the ones on the other side as well. And then just getting these film strips stuck in place. See, this is what I do. I build and build and build without gluing anything down, and then it's a mammoth task to get everything stuck down and not lose where it was supposed to be. So just pull these up. You can see the glue through the green piece a little bit, but it doesn't bother me. It's covered by the other bits and pieces, so unless you were really, really looking for it, you wouldn't notice. So that's those stuck down. Just going to fiddle about with these bits at the bottom a bit more on that card, and then move on to this cluster on the right hand side. So some of the pieces I glue to the photo just while I peel things off, and then I'll start gluing to the background. So this piece will go to the background, and then so will the chipboard pieces. And these florals, I absolutely adore these. That's one of the reasons why I designed the floral dies and leaf dies that we sell at Hey Little Magpie, because they just add so much texture and structure to a layout, especially when you're building up clusters like this on the side of a photo. I really, really like them. So I'm just going to pull this leaf piece apart. I wasn't quite happy the way it was drooping down the page. I wanted to bring it up, lift it up a little bit more. So I popped that piece at the bottom and then move the other piece up to the top, just trimming off that little corner that was torn, and then I shall glue those back there, and I'm much happier with the way that looks. So bringing these circular pieces back in, I've got This Day and Love This. So This Day is from the Vintage Orchard, and then Love This is from Art Option Supplies, so you can see just how beautifully these collections work together. Just getting that Good Times piece stuck down. So everything's starting to take shape now. I've got that lovely word phrase at the top there. Just going to glue down that frame too. Like I say, nothing seemed to be stuck down. And then this banner at the bottom. So I wanted a tab at the top for my date, of course, and then I'm going to look to see if there are any other little bits that I can tuck behind that. And then I spot this one that says Delicious Delights, and you can see Amelia was eating the most amazing rainbow cake there. It was, she couldn't finish it. It was very, very sweet, but it was fun. So back to that little tag at the bottom there, and then I'm going to add my journaling. Just looking to see if there's anything else I can add, and I find a little purple heart I'm just going to add to that tag. So here we go with the journaling. I'm just going to add some guidelines using my T-square and a pencil, and then just write about what we did. And then as soon as I've done that, I'm going to try and tuck it back in the envelope. That tag is in the way, but it's not to worry because I just create a crease in it and fold it down a little bit. And I really like the texture that that adds, actually. And I will add some string to that in due course. And there you can see the wording much better. I just want to cover that gap at the bottom of the card. So I'm going to have a look through the ephemera pieces and see what else I can find. And I spot this piece that says Delicious. It's a little tag, so I'm going to add that there and then add some ribbon through the hole. And it's just a grey gingham from my stash, or silver, I suppose you could say. So just stapling that in place. And then back into the laser cuts just to see if there's anything else I can add. And I spot these two little purple butterflies because I've got the purple in the heart on the tag, and there are sort of purple hues throughout with the film strips and things. I just wanted to bring the purple around the page a little bit more. So two little laser cut butterflies just added to those two clusters there. And then I'm going to come in with some twine. This is just some wax twine in a tan colour that I'm going to add to the tag and then sort of loop around and staple in place on top of those leaves. So just grabbing my tiny attacher. This stapler is absolutely brilliant. If you haven't got one, I would definitely treat yourself. They're very reasonably priced and really good for using on your layouts. They've got quite a nice long reach as well. So now adding the date as per my usual style, just stamping it onto scrap cardstock and then gluing it onto that tab at the top. And then I just wanted to add a little bit more behind that journaling card. I felt like it was a little bit blank there. So I've just cut a small piece of this, what do you call it, ledger paper, I suppose, from the ephemera pack. That's from Vintage Orchard. And I'm just going to fold up the corner a little bit just to mimic what I've done with the tag. And then I decide that I do want to add a little bit to the left-hand side as well. So you'll see that in a second. I just get that glued down and then add another strip that I just cut off just down here. And I tuck it right down so it looks like it's almost a continual piece going behind that envelope. So that's that bit. And then I just wanted to add some more twine. The wax twine that I'd added to the tag, I wanted to mimic and bring over to the right-hand side to that cluster. So I'm just adding a little curl of wax twine, and then I'm tucking it underneath that Love This chipboard circle. And then I'll just add plenty of glue underneath that to hold it in place. I do like the effect that that gives. And you see me normally doing this with sewing cotton, but I wanted to have something a little bit more structural this time, and that's why I went for that wax twine. So a little ribbon loop underneath my journaling section, just using a beige stripy ribbon there, or tan. And that's it. I do hope I provided you with some inspiration. Thank you so much for the sketch, and I shall see you again soon. Bye.